Oh, oh God. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Gapester here. This is the normal tank guide for Norushen. If you'd like the full guide or any other role specifics, just click on the annotations on the screen. So let's do this thing. So pretty standard these days. You'll need 2 tanks, and as a tank, you'll want to swap the tank target for the Amalgam of Corruption based on these stacks of the Self-Doubt debuff. This basically increases the damage dealt by Unleashed Anger, which is used very frequently on the current tank, by 40% per stack. Self-Doubt lasts for a minute and can keep stacking. So just like many other fights, you'll want to swap tanks on the Amalgam based on when the Self-Doubt debuff fades on the other tank that is not on him at the time. You should also be aware that the Amalgam is rooted in place there, so you cannot move him. So trying to get out of melee range will simply cause him to attack another non-tank player, which is obviously bad news. So for the most part, you can face him anywhere you want. He does not have any cleave or cone attacks to worry about. And throughout the fight, he will use a beam attack that spins around the room slowly that everyone will want to avoid, yourself included as a tank. So you can just spin him around slowly to avoid that damage and without much trouble. Now, very frequently during the encounter, 2 different ad types will spawn: manifestations and essences. Now, the manifestations should be picked up by you or the other tank very quickly. They need to be tanked for their full lifespan. They don't have any cleave-based attack or anything you need to worry about positionally, so you can just move them next to the boss if you prefer. You can even tank the boss and a manifestation at the same time if the other tank is busy, which will occur every once in a while. When a manifestation dies, however, it will leave behind a little orb of corruption, and any player that steps on this orb will soak it up, preventing a bunch of raid damage that otherwise would occur, but you will gain 25 corruption, and we'll talk about the corruption mechanic in a moment. But generally speaking, the manifestation should be picked up by one of the tanks, while the essences do not need to be dealt with by tanks at all. You can pretty much ignore them. If you're able to, try to stand between an essence spawn and the Amalgam, and this will prevent the Amalgam from gaining stacks that increases damage output. So finally, we'll talk about the main mechanic of this encounter, which is corruption. So everybody in the raid, including yourself, will start with 75 corruption. And corruption essentially reduces the damage that is dealt to the Amalgam during the fight. So the more corruption you have, the less damage you'll deal to the Amalgam. It does not affect the damage you deal to other targets, however. In addition, as a tank, if you reach 0 corruption, you will be purified, which will further reduce the damage that you take during the encounter until you gain more than 0 corruption at some point later on. So it will be up to your raid's strategy, basically, to determine when you can clear your corruption. But as a tank, just like everyone else, you'll do this by entering the other realm and beginning your personal trial period. You click on one of the golden purifying light orbs on the sides of the room, and in this trial, you are by yourself, similar to the Proving Grounds, and you're facing mobs in there that you must handle for a minute. As long as you survive for a minute, you will successfully complete your trial and exit the realm without any corruption. So you'll be completely clear. Now, as a tank, you basically have to watch out for cone attacks, deal with some heavy damage on you, so heal yourself, use personal cooldowns, and then perhaps most importantly, other than dodging the cone attack, is also interrupting the Hurl Corruption ability. If you don't interrupt Hurl Corruption, it will deal massive damage to you and probably kill you in one hit if you don't have a major cooldown. So watch for that ability, watch for the cone attack, and otherwise just use your normal tank abilities to survive for the full minute duration until you're done. The final thing to worry about as a tank is once the boss reaches 50% health, he will start to spawn extra manifestations. These will spawn every 10% of his health until the end of the fight. Now, generally speaking, everyone will have completed their trial by this period, or close to it. including yourself. However, someone's going to have to step on the corruption orbs left by these manifestations, or they'll do massive damage to the raid and kill you pretty quickly. So, if your raid decides to do so, as a tank, you are free to pick up 1 or 2 of these orbs. You cannot, however, get 3 or more, because if you go over 75 corruption, or actually 75 or higher, while the boss is below 40% health, you'll spawn extra manifestation adds, which you do not want. So, if necessary, you can pick up a maximum of 2 orbs, bringing you up to 50 corruption toward the end of the fight, but do not go any higher than that. And that really covers it. So that is the normal tank guide for the Amalgam of Corruption and Norushen. Good luck, and thanks for watching.